How many of you guys are a fan of CORTIS? How many of you guys here are coers? Well, you guys know I love CORTIS. Well, today I wanted to talk about how CORTIS didn't come out of nowhere. I wanted to address the behind the scene efforts that they have hidden in this group. And we're going to take a look at some of the interviews they've done. We're going to read some of the articles and go a little bit more into detail of what they prepared before their debut and also how they think about music. So I think around last year, I was just scrolling on Instagram and I came across this particular reel where Martin, now I know it was Martin, but at the time I didn't know it was Martin. This tall guy, really tall guy, is dancing Go. And I got immediately hooked onto there right there because the song was so good. I didn't even know who they were. I didn't even know if is this idol, what's going on. And I immediately got into it. And then with the fashion, I got even more into it. And then with the recent Green comeback, absolute banger. I think they just came out with the Blue Lips music video. Anyway, so I've been listening to a lot of their songs on repeat. And this is not even exaggeration, by the way. I actually have been listening to their music a lot. Because sometimes when it comes to K-pop, I feel like there are songs that are simply cool to look at versus the songs that I listen to often. And in that sense, I have a lot of CORTIS songs in my playlist that I actually listen quite often. Instead of just watching them for a comeback and never playing that song again. Anyway, and it really felt like they came out of nowhere and they brought this big wave. Are you guys aware that CORTIS is breaking records for highest selling album in a short period of time, highest, YouTube subscriber, highest Instagram subscriber, in terms of how fast they are currently reaching at this level? So we have to first start with where they come from. You guys all know what company CORTIS is from, right? They're from what? Big Hit. And what idols are from Big Hit? Obviously, we already know BTS. And then it's TXT. And after BTS and TXT, it has been 6 years. There was a 6 years of gap. And within that 6 years, in fact, even more, they've been preparing CORTIS. So literally, you guys know when TXT debuted? When they were a baby, they were already working on CORTIS. So for some of you guys, you know how young people here are 13 or so? Basically, guys, when you guys were 6-year-old, CORTIS was already being prepared. They were already gathering up the members. They were already training them. They were already working on the new music. I just want to start off with this. So I want to start with this interview that Martin did. Maybe you guys already read it. If you did, that's great. I'm reading it for those of you who haven't. So Martin, I have this strong desire to shake things up. By the way, I'm starting with Martin's interview because, he's my favorite. So there's been music in every season of Martin's life, soundtrack with ambition and nostalgia filling 17-year-old's world as he stands ready to debut. So, by the way, this interview I believe was done last year. So this is right when they were about to debut. He looks younger here. I mean, it's only 1 year difference, but you know how kids grow up fast? Your debut just around the corner. And Martin's like, it somehow feels like everything moving so quickly right now. It doesn't feel real. I trained for a really long time. You see right here? I trained for a really long time. For us, it looks like they just came out of nowhere. Bam, came out with Go. But we can't even imagine how long they've been prepared. In fact, guys, it's not an exaggeration. This is not just something that applies to CORTIS, but a lot of the idols. They prepared their entire life. You know how Martin, I think he was 17 around here? He probably had been preparing for this since, 10, 11? Guys, that's so young. That's more than half of his life. Anyway, and it was just the same routine every day. This, I think, is the key right here. Same routine every day. Doing same thing every day is boring. It's not fun. Training every day, practicing every day is not fun. But I believe when they have this trainee period and practicing every day, it gives them this solid foundation. Well, nowadays, you guys know how there's so many musicians that blow up on TikTok? They just get songs blow up on Shorts, songs blow up on Instagram. Well, if you blow up and you don't have this foundation that you built previously of years of training, then you can't handle the opportunity and the attention that you suddenly get. In comparison, they're not just luck. The key point here is it's not just luck that they hit. None of it is luck. They've been practicing every single day. And you know what I also think? Guys, we're talking about 13, 15-year-old boys. 13-year-old boys don't even want to do school homework. At least when I was 13, we don't even do school homework that doesn't even take 15 minutes. Imagine sitting there and practicing for hours and hours. Okay, like maybe they like music. Okay, maybe they like dancing. But you guys know how even if you really like something, once it becomes work, once it becomes practice, it's no longer fun. So I think this is impressive. And I think this same routine practice, it shows their diligence. And if you can't stand this, then you can't qualify for the final debut. Then all of a sudden, I was slated for debut and making an album in the US. Everything changed in a flash. What was that time in US like? I spent 3 months in LA. That's why he wrote, in the lyrics, LA, I said some go, 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 and song came out. Last summer, engrossed in making the album. I haven't been to too many countries, but I got the sense that people there live more free and easy. That is true. In comparison to Korea, I feel like America is much free. I ended up engrossed in that vibe as soon as I got there, and even the music I listened to started to change. That was when Sabrina Carpenter's song Espresso hit the Billboard charts. Ah, I see. Her album wasn't something I'd normally be into, but I liked it. I started widening my horizon and ended up listening to rock music more than I normally do. And I think this influence is reflected in his recent songs. Do you guys agree? More so in the Green Green album than their first album. How does your taste in music develop? The first time I ever listened to music were pop songs from Korea abroad that my mom played for me. Stuff like Justin Bieber, Michael Jackson. Then there was my dad who introduced me to psychedelic rock. He kind of has a rock star vibe. You guys agree? Martin has a rock star sensation. I think listening to everything from famous band to indie gave me a good ear for things. Oh, Tame Impala, Pixies, Nirvana. My dad actually played the bass in the band back in the 80s and early 90s. Oh, so did my dad. My dad was also a bassist. Well, he wasn't a full-time bassist. He was more of a hobby bassist. But they weren't super well-known or anything, but he says they were kind of big deal around where he lived. No doubt all that impact on your own taste. My dad can play the guitar, so I started learning it when I was little. I don't play much these days, but I've always loved how guitar sounds. Have you guys seen Martin playing guitar? I've seen some clips of him playing guitar on live stream and things like that. His guitar skill's not a joke. Genuinely. I think when it comes to instrument guitar, because it's so easily accessible instrument, there's a lot of people who play it at the light level. But I saw him playing guitar. It's not light level. Not at all. It's actually a guitarist level. He say like, I haven't been playing it too much nowadays, but yes. And I think it also influenced my fashion choices. It's funny knowing their fashion lyrics. What I wear changed depending on music I listened to at the point in my life. When I was into the rock music my dad recommended, I wore skinny, punkish, grunge outfit. I think it fits well because he's tall. He has that Death Note Luke. You guys know Luke from Death Note? I always feel like, okay, I'm not dissing his face or anything, I swear. But, I swear, this is not... But the long limbs and the rock star vibe, I think he would do really good in a Luke cosplay. Anyway, I listened to a lot of the hip-hop with everyone else, and when I became a trainee, I also rock with a lot of big baggy clothes. These days, I've been leaning more towards slim and skinny stuff. I like him in a slim clothes too. Sounds like music and fashion naturally became a big part of your life. How'd you end up becoming a trainee under big hit music? Oh, interesting part. Martin, my older sister's a huge BTS fan. She recommended this audition to me, and I was young and I just wanted to give something new a try. Obviously, I worked hard for the first audition too, but from the second round on, I felt like I really had to make it, and I'd head straight to the practice studio every school day. The song I sang for the audition was Baby by Justin Bieber. Is there a video of this? Big Hit should release this. They might do this later. I don't know. I haven't seen this footage. But that was when I was in 5th grade. Luckily, I made the cut. 5th grade? When I was in 5th grade, I tried to download Minecraft for free with my brother. Searching for free versions of Minecraft. Watching Studio Ghibli movies. Playing at the pool with my brother. That's what I did in 5th grade. And he was auditioning for Big Hit in 5th grade. Is that also when you started to learn how to make music? A month or two after I joined, another trainee who was a year younger than me asked if I wanted to try making some music. That's really early start. I didn't start off making beats or anything, but I got really into writing raps and lyrics than freestyling. It wasn't so much about creating a finished product, but more about practicing together and having fun ideas. I ended up listening to a ton of hip-hop, then moved on to rap lesson, and I started experimenting with, recording with Cubase! I also use Cubase. It's a recording program. and which was on the computer at the label. It's because there's different programs that you could use for music making. There's Cubase, Logic, Ableton, and Korean people tend to use a lot of Cubase. I started making music with Cubase because I had a friend who was also Korean, and he came to my house and he said, I have this illegal version of a music making program. And I know it's wrong, guys. I know it's wrong to use illegal program, but what, I was young and I was like, oh, please install that to my laptop, and I started making music. Anyway, it'd probably be cringy if I listened to it now, but I think it was also something charming about it. And guess you started a little bit more serious about it. The label heard from my rap coach that I've been working on some stuff, and they asked me to submit some. They told me to write and send something every week, and they give me feedback whenever they had time. I was a new trainee and didn't want to miss out on the opportunity. Guys, this sentence right here, I was a new trainee and didn't want to miss out on the opportunity. Again, it isn't just luck. He had the opportunity, but so many kids, just like me who played around when they're young, would have just, write maybe one per month, one every 2 months, and then got done with it. But he actually knew that this was opportunity and decided to take that opportunity. I really feel like a lot of opportunity, even if you're not idol, even if you're not musician, it comes to our life, but it's about if you're prepared for it. So the commitment, yes. So I put a lot of work into it. I worked on it all day, just like I trained all day. It wasn't easy balancing with training, and he also went to school. But the label helped me out so I could do both at the same time. Sounds like you spent your teens entirely wrapped up in making music and training. The pandemic hit when I was in first year of middle school. He's that young? I was in college. I was in college at the time. Oh my god. So we mostly had online classes. By second year, we started up with in-person classes, and that's when the reality kind of hit me of how hectic life has become. I see messages in group chats saying we should hang out after school, but then by the time I saw them, it was already too late. He's also one of those, I personally believe if you want to be a great musician, if you want to be a great producer, more specifically, you have to be a little bit antisocial. Because if you spend too much time with other people, then you don't have enough time to spend with music. And in that sense, I think Martin's the same way. I'm not saying Martin is antisocial like me, but yes. We get together on music on weekend if we had time off. We go to the empty room and make beats, and we ended up something cool. We even shoot a music video like a vlog. That's probably why when they debuted, you know how they also made their own music video? Then we go out to eat, grab some snacks, and come back keep working. It was more even like a video game than an actual game. Getting to make music was so much fun, and that's the part why I joined the label in the first place. There weren't really other kids like me at school, for sure. And there was something special to me about cultivating that kind of culture. Some people prefer working solo on creative project, but it sounded like you enjoyed collaborating. And Martin said, I actually used to be really introverted, but my MBTI changed to E. I'm the other way around. I kind of switched back between I and E, but I'm mostly I now. And I become much better at communicating with others. All that experience is really helpful now when it becomes being a leader, right? He's the leader, so. And bringing everyone together. I feel like we were all getting a little bit burnt out lately, so I suggested we work on something random just for fun. That's probably when they wrote Youngkook. When they decide to make something fun, it's probably when they come up with Youngkook or something. Our ideas clash sometimes, but it can also lead to new music, and before you know it, I prefer working as a team. CORTIS feels like a collaborative, creative collective. And that extends beyond your music too. Like when you're making choreography with James taking the lead. Yes, the dancing monster. When we were working on melody for Eyeless on Magnetic. Oh, I don't know if you guys are aware. James and Martin worked on Eyeless Magnetic. You know the one that goes like, you, like it's magnetic. James was dancing right there. At one point, he did this one move, and the producer saw it and went, that's it! Then they recorded it and ended up incorporating it into the choreography. Just like how I take the lead with producing, but don't do everything alone. We all work together, and that's kind of how CORTIS works. Yes. It just feels natural for us to write even little pieces of lyrics together. I respect this because personally, do you guys work well with other people? Whether music or whether work in general, I don't like working with people. But I feel like the greatest musicians, as well as the greatest workers, they're the people who's able to work with other people. Because 2 brain is better than 1 brain, and 3 brain is better than 1 brain. So I respect it. I also feel like it's kind of a personality thing. I just personally don't like talking and working with people. I think it's because I have my ego too high, but I think his humbleness is kind of what allows the collaboration. Sort of acceptingness Yeah, open-mindedness. How you and the rest of the group usually go about swapping ideas. If I send something I've been working on, usually 성현 adds on with, what if you did this? And he says exactly what he's thinking and stick by his own style, not trying to copy or anything. Ah, right. I know he's also very high contribution. And Kono, he got a way of being clear and specific. Yes. I feel like he's surely helpful in the group every time he asks to one single thing. You and Juhoon are same age. What about him? Juhoon was the last to join, and when he did, I was really happy. I don't know why this is so cute. I was really happy. It's like he found a friend. So he's happy to he found a friend in his group. Things are great between 성현 and Kono and me now. But for a while, it took a bit to find a common ground between us since we're younger. Since they're younger. For example, when I was in the 3rd year of middle school, they both had that second year syndrome. Okay. It's like the emo phase. It's called 중이병 in Korean. I don't know if you guys ever heard of it. I think they're sort of still going through it. Because if you see their interviews and if you see them in other YouTube shows, they still have that slight edgy middle school, high school energy to it. But Juhoon, the only person that I don't really feel that is James. Anyway, but Juhoon maintains a good balance and doesn't lean too far in one direction. I've never seen him starting new and then give up soon after. When he wants to get good at something, he's really serious about it. He had a hard time finding enough energy, but then he dealt with it. Yes. How do you think the group's vibe reflected in this album? We focused on key ideas like emotion, where we find ourselves in. Go feels like a snapshot. And fashion. Yes. Combined with K-pop choreography and What You Want and Joyride influenced by the LA vibe. That makes sense. Definitely What You Want and Joyride has more Americanness into it. It's not just because it's written with more English lyrics, but yeah, I like What You Want as well. The group's collaborative style really seemed to come across in the music of the final track, Lullaby. We wrote that one at our little hideaway spot near Yongsan. Yongsan is sort of a digital center of Korea, Tech Valley, where we all work together. One morning, I asked Kono, what's something new and fun we could try? What's an interesting genre to try out? And he suggested jazz. Since we don't have jazz background, we just messed around trying to figure it out, but it didn't quite click, so we shelved it. And then song camp later in the evening, and producer Supreme Boy asked if we had any tracks we worked on, so we played that one for him and he suggested we write a melody for it. Song camp, I don't know if you guys are familiar with this. If you follow with their documentary, you'll probably know. Song camp is not just for idols, not just for CORTIS. A lot of musicians just gather around together and you just work on music. Because sometimes when you sit around together, the creative ideas spawn faster. So a lot of K-pop artists, as well as just artists in general, do this. I think it's pretty common in LA. So we made the revision and the song really came down to groove. And we added in the can sound, and I got the work part was originally chant James came up with. CORTIS part, playful energy really seemed to sneak into music everywhere. You even give Kono a shout out in fashion. I don't know if that's a shout out. It's more like a, friendly diss. We were focused on the music, but we tried making the lyrics ridiculous and silly on purpose. We could definitely tell that in Green Green. When we're buying clothes, we'll say stuff like, that would look better on me, or that's totally me, or looks good. Yeah. Fashion is that make first impression for you. Even if you're not good at picking out clothes, trying something unique, yes, is a vibe. How am I feeling today? Do I like wearing something colorful or something dark? Even if you wear black, it doesn't mean you're feeling dark. Fashion can even make you a pioneer of an era or a representation of a generation. I got more into the way I look. Nice. Your group seems to know exactly what you want to show people with your music, fashion choice, performance, and videos. I think they have a clear vision. Yes. I think whenever you try something new, there's always going to be some pressure that comes with it. It's like, you know how when they released Jungkook, literally everybody in Korea, they were just straight up dissing on it. I told you guys, people are saying the electricity that went into making Jungkook is wasteful. But they kept pushing it, and now people love Jungkook. I love Jungkook too. You can't expect everyone to love it from the start. Exactly. But as we break through bit by bit, I love if people connected with our music and fashion sense. I think when they mean by fashion sense and people weren't expecting, it's also the sagging. You know how CORTIS, also another group I could think of is Longshot. They love sagging so much. Their pants is so sagged. Personally, maybe I'm an older generation. I never sag my pants. I'm not a hip hop guy, so I personally, I'm not into sagging, but I think it's cool when Martin does it. You actually have something well-known collaboration under your belt, like TXT's Deja Vu and Alice Magnetic. Those must have been a totally different kind of experience. I was lucky to get the chance to work on those projects. Here's the thing. You know how, guys, K-pop field is really harsh. They won't just put someone in there just because they're handsome or just because they have money. What I mean by that is the reason why he's able to participate in Deja Vu and Magnetic is because they actually saw the potential in him. Do you guys agree? They won't just put anybody. And here's the thing. Deja Vu and Magnetic, this is literally the biggest hit in K-pop. I was listening to the song today as well. And one day my dad called me and told me Magnetic made it onto the Billboard charts. I was so proud, but I try to stay humble by reminding myself to focus on my own path. Thing is, he could have literally just stopped here, and because he made so much money, he could have already went to being producer. Yeah. Actually, I saw my own royalties for the first time while I was in LA. I partially fell over when I saw that. I can't even imagine. We're probably talking about 6-7 figures. I remember calling my mom totally shocked, but I ended up saving the money and only spending it on music equipments. So cute. What would it feel like to make so much money at 16, 15? Even racing towards this goal since you were young. How have you kept yourself focused? There's an interview where Kurt Cobain talks about beauty of vintage clothing that really resonated with me. There's just something so satisfying about digging through endless clothes and you come across a gem. For me, it's about cherishing the little things in life. Riding bikes, playing basketball. Because when you're on a journey to achieve a goal, you can't really go through the process half-heartedly. I keep the idea of yin and yang in my mind and change the mindset if I'm in the situation I can't change. You have to go through a lot and get what you want. Even if when you achieve your goal, there's still going to be things you absolutely don't want to deal with. He's so much younger than me, but there's so many things that I could learn from him. You know, just like everybody else, I'm aging every single year, and I've been realizing more and more you could learn from someone even if they're 10 years younger than you. It doesn't have to do with age, it doesn't have to do with popularity. I think there's always a successful aspect that you could learn. I mean, this is true, but how do I say it? Sometimes you kind of just think of them as kids, but some of these quote kids could definitely have more diligence than you do. And I feel like, in fact, don't you guys feel that as you get older, you sort of get more distracted? What I mean by that is, when I was in middle school, I used to also play piano and practice guitar, but the focus I had at the time is so much higher than what I have now. Now, I think my mind is kind of a little bit loose, running all over the place, as in, I have to pay taxes, or I have to go get grocery. But when I was in middle school, high school, all I did was play guitar. All I did was play piano. So I kind of admire that focus. I wish I could sort of lock in like that. But And what's the goal you're aiming towards? Oh, I wonder what his goal is. My goal is, of course, to debut. Well, he achieved that one. I want to debut in the most tiptoe shape possible, both physically and skill-wise, then work my way achieving other goals. Right now, I just want to perform in front of people and become well-known. He also did that. Have you seen his performance at Mama? Yes. I want to perform our songs, have fun on stage. Yes, you also saw the release party. And connect with our fans through music. It's so cool to me that how you can share each other's feeling without having to say a word. I'd be thrilled to get up on any stage. Just thinking about it made me so excited. And it overlaps with how he was saying Margo Young Cuckoo in the release party. He already met all his goals. I wonder what his goal is now that he already achieved this goal. It reminds me of your line in What You Want, 17 years of my life, chased after fame. To me, fame doesn't just mean being well known. It's about leaving something behind so people remember your name. I want to start out as a small focal point, then gradually lead into the culture that can spread. I mean, they are being a syndrome. I have this strong desire to shake things up. It's really tough dream, and I don't know if I can make it come true, but who knows? You got to get it a shot, right? I think I just wanted to be an extraordinary person ever since I was a kid. I've always wanted to leave my mark on people's memory. He definitely did. There's no special reason behind it. I just want to be some guy who's got something. Yes. What a great interview. The thing is, it's not just about his attitude, it's also how well he could speak about his feelings. I mean, I'm sure the interviewer kind of organized the words a little bit more cleaner. But at the same time, I feel like unless you actually have thought about these things in your head multiple times, bringing them to words won't be as easy. He was raised well, yes. He was raised well, and I think he's very goal-driven. I also want to grow up to be someone like him. I know that sounds weird because he's younger than me, but I also want to be someone who's able to know their vision and work for a goal that they like. I'm sorry I keep bringing me into it. It's just that I feel a little bit overlapping in terms of the job we do and the goals I pursue. I personally don't know if I have as much diligence or as much effort as he has put in, but yes, I resonate with him and I admire. In that sense, I think it fits the word idol because you know how we kind of use the word idol without thinking about it too much, but for me, this is the moment where I feel more idol. I look up to these people. You guys realize how a lot of my bias in different groups, like Hongjung, RM, Martin, I look up to these people. That's why they're my bias. So it's not just cause they're good looking, it's not just cause they dance well, but yes, they make good music. It's not just good music, they also have good personality, good morals. Yeah. There's also Kono's interview and James's interview. But I'm debating if we should do this all today or we should spread this into another stream. Because if I go through all of this, we might have to stay here for what? The interviews aren't just short interviews, they're very long. So I'll save it up for another stream. Nice. Well, that was a brief talk about CORTIS and more specifically Martin.